Mastering the Pendulum, the Hermetic Laws of Polarity and Rhythm. Welcome, seekers of wisdom and truth. Today, we step into the sacred stream of ancient knowledge, into the Hermetic mysteries that guide the inner alchemist on the path of self-sovereignty, healing, and evolution. If you've ever felt like life swings wildly from joy to sorrow, clarity to confusion, know this. There are laws behind those tides, immutable, universal principles that, once understood, become tools for mastery. Today, we explore two profound Hermetic principles that have echoed through time, shaping not only the mystical traditions of Egypt and Greece, but also the very mechanics of our emotional and spiritual lives. The law of polarity and the law of rhythm. These aren't just ideas, they are universal constants, truths that govern everything from the orbits of stars to the tides of our moods. You don't need to follow any one religion or tradition to use them. You only need curiosity and the courage to look within. You'll learn how these forces govern your emotions, thoughts, and experiences, and most importantly, how you can work with them instead of being swept away by them. Let's transmute confusion into clarity. Let's begin. The Hermetic principles, taught in ancient Egypt and Greece and preserved in the text, the Kybalion, describe 7 universal laws that govern all reality, seen and unseen. These are not religious commandments, but natural laws like gravity or electromagnetism applied to mind, spirit, and matter. The Hermetic principles originate from ancient wisdom teachings attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, part god, part sage, and revered by mystics, alchemists, and philosophers across the ages. These principles describe how the universe operates, not in material or religious terms, but in vibrational, mental, and energetic dimensions. Today, we focus on 2 laws that govern change, contrast, and cycles: the law of polarity and the law of rhythm. Let's take a closer look at each. The law of polarity. Everything is dual. Everything has poles. The Kybalion. The law of polarity teaches that every quality, every experience, and every state of being exists on a spectrum. Hot and cold are not separate entities, but varying degrees of temperature. Light and darkness are not different substances. Darkness is simply the absence of light. The same applies to your emotions and thoughts. Love and hate are the same energy expressed at different frequencies. Fear and courage, despair and hope, contraction and expansion are all poles of the same thing. This means you are never stuck. Even in deep sorrow, you are still on the spectrum of joy. You have simply slid toward the lower vibration, and that means you can shift. You can transmute. True inner alchemy is not denying pain, but recognizing it as one end of a polarity and then learning to move along the scale. Like adjusting the dial on a radio, you can tune your consciousness to a higher frequency. As a practical example, let's say you're overwhelmed by anxiety. Instead of resisting it or judging it, identify the polar opposite of anxiety. Let's say, calm. Then ask yourself, what thoughts, actions, or environments move me toward calm? What can I do to move myself along the scale of polarity towards calm? Practice this method of shifting your mind state to the desired frequency, and you will begin the movement across the spectrum. This is polarity in action. Understanding this allows you to shift your state. When anger arises, you can consciously move toward peace, because they are simply different points along the same spectrum. This is not emotional suppression. It's transmutation. It's the essence of inner alchemy. The law of rhythm. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. The measure of the pendulum swing to the right will be compensated by an equal swing of the pendulum to the left. Rhythm is the law that governs cycles. The breath, the seasons, the beating of the heart, economic booms and crashes, emotional highs and lows, they are all subject to the pendulum's swing. The law of rhythm is the law behind the seasons, the ocean tides, the moon phases, the inhale and exhale of breath. In your life, it appears as cycles of energy, emotion, creativity, and even relationships. There will be an expansion and contraction, birth and decay, motivation and rest. This law operates on a macro scale as well. Civilizations rise and fall, markets boom and crash, societies move forward and regress. You cannot stop this pendulum, but you can stop being ruled by it. The law of rhythm says that the more extreme the swing to one side, the more extreme the swing back to the other side. This is why intense infatuation often turns to heartbreak, or euphoric highs lead to deep crashes. The pendulum always returns. However, and this is the key, you are not the pendulum. You are the observer, the center, the point of stillness, if you choose to be so. When you understand the rhythm, you can begin to anticipate it, even transcend it. Rhythm teaches us not to cling to joy, nor to fear the sorrow. It helps us find a center within the swing. Mastering rhythm means cultivating emotional resilience and achieving inner balance. In order to achieve this, the mystics teach that it is possible to place our awareness higher on the arc of the pendulum, where the swing is less violent. Down near the bottom, life can feel chaotic and turbulent. When we choose to raise our consciousness and vibrate on a higher plane, the law of rhythm is still in operation, and the pendulum continues to swing according to the mindset of the masses. Yet we remain poised, serene, and less affected by the pendulum's forces. Now, let us examine how the law of polarity and the law of rhythm work together, for the two laws are deeply intertwined. Rhythm provides the motion, while polarity provides the poles. The pendulum of life swings between the two poles. The more you identify with the outer extremes, the more you will be affected by the swing. But here's the secret. Consciousness gives you control of your position on the pole. You can begin to shorten the swing, or even shift to a higher vibrational polarity. Love over fear, understanding over judgment, anchoring yourself in higher awareness, while the pendulum swings below. Let's say you feel ecstatic joy. That's beautiful. But if you cling to it, the rhythm will soon pull you into its opposite, sadness. But if you instead appreciate joy while anchored in awareness, you soften the swing. You begin to master the dance. Similarly, if you're stuck in despair, rhythm and polarity can be your tools to rise. Recognize the polarity, despair versus hope, and accept that the pendulum is already moving. Ride it consciously. Use the law to navigate the cycle rather than resist it. In this way, you become the alchemist, transmuting mood, experience, and energy through understanding universal truth. Now, let's delve into 7 practical rhythm and polarity experiments we can engage in to set our inner alchemical processes into action. 1. Spectrum mapping. Choose an emotion that you've struggled to transmute. Draw a line and place that emotion on one end of the line, and place its opposite emotion on the other end of the line. Then reflect. What daily practices, thoughts, or people move you along the line in the right or in the wrong direction? Where do you spend most of your time on that spectrum? Closely related to this exercise is our second experiment, polarity shift journaling. Each night, write down an emotional state that you experienced that day. Label its opposite. For example, you experienced frustration, but would like to experience patience. Then, list 3 actions or thoughts that would move you toward the desired pole. 3. Pendulum pause technique. When you feel a strong emotional reaction, pause. Close your eyes and visualize a swinging pendulum. Say to yourself, "This too shall pass. I center myself at the axis." Breathe and let the wave pass without attaching to it. 4. Vibration elevation ritual. Each morning, practice a high vibrational ritual. Gratitude journaling, gentle breath work, uplifting music, or sacred movement and dance, or yoga and tai chi. These raise your frequency and lift your awareness higher on the pendulum. 5. Rhythmic awareness meditation. Sit quietly and tune into your breath. As you inhale and exhale, observe the rhythm without trying to change it. Reflect on what area of life is expanding as you inhale. Also consider what areas of your life are contracting as you exhale. 6. Mental transmutation mantra. When caught in a negative thought spiral, speak aloud. This is one side of the pole. I now choose to shift. Then visualize sliding along a spectrum toward the emotion or state that you desire. 7. Cycle mapping. Track and journal your moods, energy levels, focus, and decision-making for 30 days. Patterns will emerge. Do you notice rhythms, weekly, monthly, or emotional tides? Are there weekly lows, monthly surges? Recognize your personal pendulum and plan accordingly. Align your plans to your natural rhythms, leaning into productivity on the upswing and lean into rest on the downswings. Work with your cycles, not against them. The Hermetic Laws of Polarity and Rhythm are ancient, yet timeless. They remind us that all things are connected, and that all change follows a sacred order. Every emotion, every experience, and every challenge you face is part of a grand rhythm, a dance between poles. We cannot stop the pendulum of the world. The seasons will turn, nations will rise and fall, people will love and leave, but you can choose where you exist on the spectrum. You can rise above the chaos, not by avoiding life, but by mastering its laws. That is the path of the inner alchemist, to observe, to understand, and to elevate. You become your own axis, your own sovereign anchor, untouched by the extremes of the outer world. Use these laws not as dogma, but as tools. Practice the shifts. Witness the cycles. And most importantly, Remain centered in your own sacred rhythm. If this message resonated, please share it with a fellow seeker of knowledge. Subscribe for more tools to navigate this human journey with grace, clarity, and power. Until next time, stay aligned, stay luminous, and always walk in rhythm with your higher self.